This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Haas really have seemed to have turned their 2025 season around. From languishing down in P9 just a handful of rounds ago with little hope of anything more, they've just banked their 4th point scoring weekend in a row. Thing is though, what started the season as a pretty even teammate pairing of the journeyman Esteban Ocon and the rookie hotshot Ollie Bearman, things have gone a bit awry, because Ollie scored 24 points in the last 4 weekends. Esteban's managed just 2. So what's going on? Well, that is the purpose of today's video. My name's Tommo. Let's talk about it. Let's start discussing upgrades, because Haas season, well, it started off as a bit of a mixed bag, didn't it? High speed instability was the order of the day. It caught out Ollie Bearman in Australia, nil points for both cars that opening weekend. However, China was so much better. That double Ferrari disqualification came in clutch, promoted Ollie Bearman to P8, Esteban Ocon to P5. Bahrain round 4 saw the team score double points as well. However, after that saw a long 10-round slog where the team would only score 11 points. They dropped down from P5 in the Constructors on 20 points after round 4, all the way to P9 in the Constructors with just 35 points. Now look, the final year of a regulation cycle is always a way up, isn't it? How much do you focus on the here and now, the current car versus next year? 2026, we've seen Alpine completely throw this car to the wolves. Williams do the same. McLaren stopped upgrading in the summer break for this year to focus on 26. Now, I was fortunate enough to get an invite down to the Haas factory earlier on this year. Shout out InfoBip, Haas sponsor for the invite. That was back at the start of July, and I asked this question, what is the balance for you, particularly as the smallest team on the grid? And the answer was that they were going to continue to iterate this year's car because they saw an opportunity. You got to remember that $10 million or so per position in the Constructors is a huge deal to Haas, and if they can sniff an opportunity of finishing higher up the Constructors, it's worth it to them to prioritise that over throwing every bit of resource at 26. Of course, they're still working on 26, don't get me wrong, but not 100%. And it remains to see whether that will pay off in the end. If you do all that hard work and still finish P9 in the Constructors, it will have been a waste, but if you can finish P6, that is a huge payday for the team. Now, Haas's first upgrade of the season, kind of in anger, came in Japan, round 3. They moved that one forward to get it onto the car, and then made revisions in Imola round 7 and Silverstone round 12. All of these changes were, of course, primarily around the floor, where the majority of the downforce in these current cars is generated, and they were necessary changes to keep Haas in their kind of fringe point scoring position relative to the field. Because also it's fair to say that every team apart from Alpine can consistently score points. I mean, particularly Aston Martin, Racing Bulls and Sauber have also seemingly gone down the same route of bringing iterative upgrades to try and maximise their Constructors' position. Alpine and Williams haven't bothered, but of those 4 teams, one of them's got to finish last, and Haas are going to be hoping it's not them. However, the upgrade that actually moved Haas forward relative to those teams seemingly was the Austin one, round 19, so only fairly recently. And they seemingly put their ATR wind tunnel time to good use, excellent use in fact, primarily bringing iterative upgrades not just to the floor, but also rear brake ducts and mirror stays. And the result of that is 24 points in the last 3 rounds. The problem, though, is that Esteban's only contributed 2 of them. All of this talk of upgrades has, funny enough, got me thinking about today's video sponsor, Squarespace. Because if you're looking to upgrade your very own online home, whether it be a portfolio to show off your work, a blog to share your thoughts, or a store to sell your wares, Squarespace is the place to go. With over 14 million entrepreneurs served in over 200 countries worldwide, wherever you are, Squarespace can help you out. Use their AI-powered design intelligence software to create something beautiful. No coding knowledge needed. Free to try. It's only when you want to hit that publish button that you've got to pay anything, and when that time inevitably comes around. Head to squarespace.com/TOMMO'S to get 10% off of your very first website or domain. Now, of course, Haas signed a brand new teammate pairing for 2025, out with Hülkenberg and Magnussen, in with Ocon and Bearman. Esteban made a lot of sense, I think, for a team like Haas as a pick. You know what you're getting with Esteban. He's had some very high highs, he's had some pretty low lows. He's been through the Miller, and it's created a pretty well-rounded driver as far as I'm concerned. And to put him alongside a young upstart Ferrari protege, Ollie Bearman, a lot of potential ceiling to grow into, that balance I think is important in a team. In fact, Max Verstappen said exactly this on the Pelepistas podcast very recently. Play the clip.
Sometimes if you're a bit the older driver and let's say you've achieved already a lot of great things, and then the more younger guy, an up-and-coming guy, I think it does create a little bit of a different dynamic.
I think it would be a lesson for team bosses to not put two young guys wanting to kill each other, because it's not going to help anybody.
It's not ideal. One older guy that is at his peak or close to going over the peak, that immediately you have the other guy to step in to make sure that you don't also as a team go backwards, right? To immediately make sure that the other driver is also there to take over in a sense.
The question is, where is this differential coming from? Is it Ollie doing amazing work? Is it Esteban doing bad work? Is it the team letting Esteban down and helping Ollie out? This is what we're trying to work out here. And we have to kind of split the season 3/4 to a quarter, because it was round 16 Italy where this gap began to open up that hasn't yet closed. When you look at the first 15 rounds, there's basically nothing between them in almost every single measurable instance. Take average quali gap, for example, in those first 15 rounds, just 24 thousandths of a second advantage Esteban, and the head-to-head for that was actually 9-6 in favour of Ollie, which tells you all you need to know about head-to-heads. It doesn't really mean anything. Now, points-wise, at first glimpse, you'll be like, well, the points weren't very close at all, Tomo. Esteban was doing the heavy lifting, 28 points in favour of Ollie's 16. And actually, Ollie had only just bagged his P6 in Zandvoort at round 15. So if we'd have done one race earlier, the gap would have been even bigger. However, that's the points telling one story, but look at average finishing position, right? Because points award P11 the same as P20, right? Whereas average finishing position does not. So when you look at those first 15 weekends, including 3 sprint races and excluding Ollie's 2 and Esteban's 1 retirement, Ocon's average P11.7, Bearman's average P11.7, literally the same. Identical overlap, identical in race finishes, nothing to split them. So now let's compare all of those stats from the first 15 rounds with the most recent 6, because this tells an incredibly different story. Average quali gap is now 0.454 of a second in favour of Ollie, 8-0 head-to-head, almost half a second. Points-wise, we've got a couple of P9s, a P6 and a P4 for Ollie, that's 24 points. For Esteban, just 2 for his P9 in Mexico. Average race finishing position in those last 6 weekends, including the 2 sprint races as well. P9.9 for Ollie, just sneaks into the top 10. P13.4 for Esteban. They've gone from identical to a 3.5 position difference. And that's including Bearman's penalty in Austin that dropped him from P8 to P15 in the sprint. That was pretty harsh if you ask me. Without that, if he had finished P8, he's P9 on average, which would be 4.5 positions different. Now, yes, 5 rounds is a much smaller sample size than 16. However, we're seeing with Oscar Piastri, right? Over recent weekends, both Esteban and Oscar have fallen off massively relative to their teammates. It's a sudden nosedive dip in form. And look, obviously this goes without saying, I'm going to be inherently a bit biased towards Ollie Bearman. He's been on the channel, he's from my hometown, like I've got a lot of support for him. But like when you look at him, I think objectively he has been mustard. He's been unreal. From that first impression he made filling in for Carlos Sainz at Ferrari last year, all the FP1s he did last year with Haas, and clearly impressed Io Komatsu enough to give him the seat for this year. Yes, he's done some foolishness, right? Silverstone crashing, going into the pit lane, like, what are you doing, son? He's not far off a race ban either. He's on 9 penalty points right now, and a lot of those points won't get written off till July next year. There's been some sloppy moments, absolutely granted. But the thing is, you'd always rather have a young driver that oversteps and you can pull back into line rather than a driver that never can get to that ceiling in the first place. And look at 3 of arguably the best drivers in F1 right now. Verstappen, Leclerc, Russell all had a very crashy reputation early on in their career, not even just in their first year, multiple years into their career. They still push too hard, too often. Ollie's going to do the same, but it doesn't mean he can't become every bit as good as these other guys, because the potential is absolutely there, and I think he's showing it right now. However, I do not think that Ollie stepping up is the only reason Esteban is seemingly struggling so much and being exposed so much, because the team hasn't exactly got their hands clean either. What are you doing to me, guys? Honestly, that's what Esteban said over team radio after his P15 finish at Austin. 6 places off of Ollie in P9, who executed a fantastic Grand Prix. But the thing is, what is Esteban meant to do? They stick him on the hard tyres at the start, which is not the right tyre to be on. They chose not to ditch them with that early VSC, which Albon did, and Albon finished ahead of Ocon, who also started on the hards. Haas were determined to stick on the one stop, put him on soft tyres for more than half of the Grand Prix. As race engineer Laura Muller said to Esteban after the race, "Sorry, we got it wrong with the hard." Just to refresh my memory, I've gone through and listened to all of the post-race interviews that the drivers give to F1 on the YouTube channel in those last kind of 6 rounds to see what Esteban's been saying, what his takeaways have been, and it definitely does give us some more answers as to what exactly the issue is. So starting with Monza, quali wasn't great, P15 is not particularly good, at least it's out of Q1 I suppose. Baku got disqualified from qualifying for a technical infringement. That forced him to go aggressive again, stopping twice right at the start after Piastri's shenanigans and basically driving the entire race on one set of tyres. Singapore, he qualified all the way down in P17, boxed too late to jump the cars ahead and was basically stuck in the DRS train. Sprint quali in Austin was awful, P19, and then got harpooned by Lance in the sprint race. Normal quali wasn't much better, P17 start, and again, wrong tyres for the race. Now Mexico, I'm happy to say, is a bit of an outlier. P12 in qualifying, decent starting position, P9 race finish, good progress. But then in Brazil last time out, it's back down to earth. It's P19 in sprint qualifying, a bunch of traffic to navigate, ruining his lap. Recovered well to P11 in the sprint race, but again, no points. And then in main quali, he was out again in Q1, P17. And as for the race, got a puncture like Max did, but the timing didn't quite work out as well for Esteban. He missed the VSC window and lost a lot of time. A P12 recovery demonstrated the potential of the car underneath him, but wasn't able to exploit it. So time and time again, it's qualifying, isn't it? In these last 6 rounds, it's his qualifying that has completely killed him. And whether it's Ocon not delivering the lap when needed, or the team sending him out at the wrong time, so he's getting caught in traffic or bad track conditions, or the car's getting disqualified because it doesn't meet the technical regulations. I mean, when we look at those last 6 weekends, those 8 qualifying sessions in total, Ollie's average qualifying position P11.5, which means he's comfortably Q2, occasionally squeaking into Q3. Esteban's average over that same time period, excluding his disqualification in Baku, P16.6, which is comfortably out in Q1, occasionally squeaking into Q2. That's over 5 positions different to your teammate, which is unacceptable in what is such a qualifying formula right now. And that is what is destroying not only Esteban's end of season, but also potentially Haas's chance of snagging that P6 and all the prize money that comes with it, because Ollie can't do it on his own. Whatever is going wrong, they need to fix it quick. I have long been an Esteban Ocon defender. Okay, I love his story, his proper working class roots. The family sacrificed everything, chucked it all in to support his racing dream. I have made a video talking all about it years ago now. Give that a watch after this one. I also think he's been hard done by this sport. He definitely did not deserve to be dropped at the end of the 2018 season, but Lance Stroll, and more importantly, Lawrence Stroll, buying the team saw to that. He's made enemies with Fernando Alonso and Sergio Perez, which just asked Liam Lawson. That can get messy. But the thing is, he's always compared favourably on track to both of them, I think. Qualifying pace is something I've long seen as a strength of his. I definitely think he had that over Checo during their time as teammates, whereas Sergio would come alive in the races. We're consistently seeing Fernando dunk, 3/10 on Stroll week in, week out right now, and Lance is, many things. He's definitely got a rookie mistake in him still, somehow. But he's not slow. Esteban, on the other hand, during their time as Alpine teammates, ran Fernando very, very close, more often than not. But again, it's that one lap pace that is absolutely destroying him right now. And rookies can be quick out the gates. Consistency, ability to deliver over a race distance comes with time. One lap pace can absolutely happen from day dot. But the problem for Ocon is that Bearman's already starting to showcase some consistency, even in his first season. Think of those 4 P11s he got mid-season in a row. Think of 2 P12s, 2 P9s, 2 P6s, and a P4 in the last 7 starts for Ollie. His uptick in results is just magnifying Esteban's struggles and making them look even worse. And look, I don't have the answer, sorry. We can just discuss and look at all the data and the information. I think like most things, it's probably a bit of both. Esteban's lost a bit of momentum and belief and confidence perhaps, and the team has let him down a few times as well, and Ollie's riding a wave right now where he's feeling good. Remember, Charles Leclerc had a very, very similar strong end to his 2018 rookie season at Sauber, where he bagged like 3 P7s in a row right at the end of the year, and it feels like Ollie's going through the same kind of motions right now. But there is no doubt in my mind, if Haas can start qualifying Esteban higher up where Ollie is, Esteban can absolutely deliver the race results that Ollie is able to do. So pull your finger out, Haas. 3 weekends to go. P6 is still on, and I really want them to get it. Let me know your thoughts and feelings on this topic down in the comments below. My name's Tomo. Thanks again. Have a good one. Ta-da.